Hulk Hogan has hinted at his involvement in the upcoming Trump inauguration. There is also talk that a new major WrestleMania 41 match is in the works, and changes are potentially coming to the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony. It's all in the wrestling news. Hello everybody, Jack back again with the news. Sam's here now.
Yeah.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm all right. Ross was on a half day. You're in.
Yeah, I've subbed in for him.
You've got the hot tag, and we're going to start by talking once again about Hulk Hogan, who was interviewed on Fox News recently.
Yeah.
And hinted at his involvement in the Trump inauguration, saying, well, there's a little birdie that says I might just be there pulling a few shenanigans, brother. I've got my Trump pump back on, and I'm going to be riding dirty all the way to that inauguration. I cannot wait for him to be sworn in, brother. It's a new day, it's a new country, and we're going to make America great again because we've got a real American president, brother.
They're just going to hit Real American. He's going to come out and do the ear thing for 5 minutes and then use one of those T-shirt cannons to fatally fire cans of his beer into the crowd.
Yeah, it's going to be something along those lines, isn't it? It's going to be similar to when we saw him at the rally in MSG, probably.
Yeah, it's just going to be a lot of like rah-rah Americana, cling to the 80s Hulk Hogan.
I wonder, though, just because this is obviously wrestling news and everything, trying to tie it back in, I wonder if... Because obviously the big story coming out of the Netflix debut, one of the big stories, the one that seemed to go the most mainstream was Hogan being booed. And all these wrestling fans who hadn't watched for decades going, hang on.
Yeah, you're already booing him because he's a Trump fan. I know there's a lot more going on there.
It's one of the reasons possibly.
It's one of the reasons he's possibly booed, but there's a lot more there.
I'm assuming if he turns up at the inauguration, given the demographics that are likely to turn out, he might get cheer, he might get more positive reception. Are WWE going to try and use that to rehab his image somewhat, or do you think they'll stay away?
I felt like after that initial Hulk Hogan, boo-a-thon, and it was deserved in my books. After that, I think in my head it was going to just go down to video-only appearances because you can't really boo a video. The arena can boo it, but we won't hear them
be obvious
booing
on the broadcast,
but no, I think they're just going to keep rolling out Hogan in these markets, but I don't know how much the response is going to change from market to market, right? Yeah,
he's already, I think, been announced for one of the upcoming Saturday Night's main event shows. I saw some reports online that was saying, like, not only is that a potential concern, the response, but also if Jesse Ventura's there, they still don't like each other. So,
and I saw a lot of people being like, well, he's still got NWO Hulk in the back pocket so that the boos make sense. And it's like, no, the boos kind of transcend any form of gimmick here. So it's definitely going to be one to watch out for. And I'm assuming that his involvement will be some way mentioned at some point if he does get involved.
Yeah, maybe, elsewhere, in terms of the actual wrestling, WrestleVotes has said that the only rumblings so far that they've heard for an upcoming WrestleMania 41 match that we haven't yet speculated on is that Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair is being talked about, but WrestleVotes isn't certain if it's actually going to happen or not.
I think when you look at it, I don't see Charlotte coming back and not immediately going towards some form of title within a few months, so it makes sense for me that she would gravitate toward Tiffy. Should she beat Tiffy?
I would say no.
I'd say no, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if she manages to, because it's Charlotte Flair.
I'm the same as well. And I don't doubt it would be a great match. Tiffany's incredibly promising, given her level of experience. Charlotte can put on great matches at WrestleMania. We've seen that already. But yeah, it'd be one of those ones where I think, assuming Charlotte comes back from injury as this babyface, the natural position for someone returning from injury, I assume that could be one of those ones in front of maybe a more Smarky Mania crowd. If Charlotte were to win, it could backfire.
Possibly. At the same time, I think that, it could be one of those matches we're all looking at and go, no, don't give Charlotte the title, but maybe that's not the plan. Maybe there is sort of bigger wheels in motion, but we can't quite see them yet.
On SmackDown last week, Tiffany gave like a celebratory promo, which was eventually interrupted with her new belt and everything. And it was clear from the promo they're keeping her heel, but the crowd weren't fully on board with that. They're
having a hard time booing her,
So we'll have to see how that all shakes out, if indeed the match does even take place. Elsewhere, this is also from WrestleVotes. They've got an injury update on Tonga Loa, who's been absent for a while. Apparently they are shooting for WrestleMania in terms of a prospective return day. I don't know if they have a spot for him. I wouldn't say that he's got a tag match match lined up, but they are shooting that he's back on TV around WrestleMania time.
He's somebody, no matter what you think of him, he's somebody that they've got to want to get back in action as fast as possible. Obviously, he came in injuries at the wrong time, and it seems to have compounded slightly. War Games, I don't know how he made it through that, considering like the amount of sheer lifting he had to do.
Yeah.
So the second he can be fighting fit again and back and factored into things, I think the better. But it really feels like he hasn't quite had a chance to hit the ground running yet.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I agree with what you say, that regardless of what you think of Tonga Loa, he does kind of have a place in that group.
Yeah.
He's another body there to add more menace
somebody
and
they
everything.
surely want to be active in ring as well as just a body in the group.
Yeah, and assuming they are going to want to continue to push Jacob Fatu as the big breakout star,
Yeah.
if you want to have a tag team, and Jacob can't be doing tag team stuff for much longer, then you need him back as well, the team with his brother.
Yeah, well, you got all of the backlog of GOD there that we can sort of see them bust out some of their greatest hits. So,
yeah, I agree. WrestleVotes also says on their Backstage Pass Q&A that WWE are potentially considering changes to the Hall of Fame ceremony, saying, the only thing I can say is they were not happy with how everything happened last year in Philadelphia in terms of the size of the crowd that was left even half an hour through. Once Paul Heyman was done speaking last year, the majority of the crowd left and WWE was not thrilled with that. I talked to a source that said they couldn't really blame them because the headliner went first. It's the start of a very long weekend for a lot of people, so if you can get out of there at 10:30, you're going to take that chance. However, WWE were not thrilled with that, so I don't think they want to do that again. So I know they're trying to come up with different ways to present everything. I just don't know what that is yet.
I like having attended a Hall of Fame ceremony.
You did.
It's
Orlando.
long. It's and I get that you're not there for a night of entertaining in-ring action. You're there. It's kind of like going to an awards ceremony, right? Because well, that's exactly what it is. But it's kind of like going to an awards ceremony where you've got to maybe sit through 5 or 6 categories, 10 categories you don't really mind too much about, and then you get to the thing you want to see. But I think that in a way, putting Heyman first was great. But at the same time, yeah, you're going to lose the people that were hanging on for him. But I remember by the end of that, I think I was only in there like 4 hours, but it felt like it had gone on for ages.
Yeah, and that was when you went before it was the ring setup.
Yeah,
as
before
well,
it was the ring setup.
Yeah.
So, but that was when it was on the stage. But I think that there is a way they can freshen up the Hall of Fame. Whether that is making it more intimate. Obviously, we saw the original Hall of Fame. I think was 94. Or 95-ish. That was always a much smaller affair, and it seemed to be more to do with the wrestlers and their families. They'd maybe be in like a convention hall or something. It wasn't quite the scale, but you've got to think with the revenue they do generate from ticket sales for these, they're going to want to keep it in front of an audience, but they're going to need to find a way to maybe freshen it up just a little bit more.
It's a strange one, and I think that as well, they've still struggled to find their feet in the aftermath of the pandemic. How do we get back to doing this ceremony? I feel like even though people like the ring setup at first, it's more the formatting of it, isn't it? Like Heyman going first, as you say, it was a nice thing for him, but then
it's kind of the same thing over and over again, though, which is I don't know how you break it up when largely it is just we're going to talk for a bit, there's going to be a video package, and then you're going to hear from an inductee, and it's kind of repeat that. So I don't know how you can freshen that up, whether that includes adding a wrestling element to the show,
something like that,
or like I don't know what you could do, but I think there's a way to keep the current ring set up, maybe have the viewers in attendance a little bit more engaged in between all of the talking bits.
I know, because one of the things I really like about the Hall of Fame from years gone by is that, as much as it would be fun to include some sort of kayfabe element, I really like that it's the one time when
it's
all
just
that's
straightforward.
dropped. It's just quite charming in a way. It's got that old charm about it.
Yeah.
Whereas, I don't know how they go about it.
Maybe they just move into a smaller venue and charge 11 times the amount for the tickets.
Maybe they will. We'll have to wait and see. NXT last night did not feature Corey Graves, and me and Ross talked about this in the first news video today, which is on the channel now. And it seems as though his tweet is very kind of he's not very content with what's going on.
It's discontent, I think, was putting it correctly.
It seems like that tweet was legit. And since then, there's been a little addendum to the story we brought you, which is that Corey Graves' brother, his real life brother on Twitter, says that it was just, he said, not a work. Jonathan Coachman, who was also a former announcer in WWE, has had his say as well, saying if Corey is upset for being bumped from the main announced roster. Happened to JR 5 times, happened to Cole multiple times, happened to me multiple times. He is right, he is really good at his job, but playing in the sandbox a little bit better might not hurt next time. Embrace whatever role you have and understand that you are lucky to have it. There are only 3 to 5 of these jobs at the highest level. Who knows? Maybe they asked him to be part of a 3-man booth. We know he doesn't like that. Lol. Sorry, had to. That last line was a joke. The rest, it's the wrestling business. It happens. I'm torn on this.
Yeah, I think that, looking at it from this position, outwardly looking at WWE, they feel, speaking completely out of turn, like a company that puts you in positions to test you from time to time. And they also seem and feel like a company that aren't afraid to, if they feel like going in a different direction, they're doing it. And you are going to kind of get what you get out of that deal. I think that Graves it was such a standout factor, I think. Like, it was a revelation seeing how naturally he fit into commentary. And I'm all for changing up the teams, but NXT feels kind of bigger than it has been in recent years.
That is true.
I was like, is it really that much of a demotion to go to NXT? Is it?
Yeah, I think that I'm sort of torn on this as well. I think that Coachman actually has some good points there, and especially in terms of like, this is such a rare job to be an announcer in WWE, and maybe you should be a bit more grateful. On the other hand, Corey feels like the sort of person who, in WWE's modern world, is like the perfect heelish color commentator.
Yeah.
He's got the slick,
fits so well.
He's got the slick sportscastery side to him, like Michael Cole, like Vic Joseph and stuff. But then he's also got that personality and that former wrestling background and everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's the sort of person who would maybe see himself as someone who's done everything possible to fit what WWE have told him to be.
Yeah.
And then they've gone, yeah, but Pat McAfee's here.
Yeah.
And so I do sympathise with him while agreeing.
Especially he's
partly
done
with
so much
Coachman.
out of the role as well in terms of the podcast side of it, and
he's good at everything he does. He's so valuable to them, and I don't begrudge him feeling a bit annoyed too much, but I can see why it might ruffle a few feathers and why he wasn't on NXT last night. We'll have to see. Also, this is very exciting news. Our own Tom Campbell interviewed the new and first ever Women's US Champion, Chelsea Green. That's going to be up on the channel tonight, I believe. So look forward to that. You've seen that video of it on Twitter over the last few weeks. In an interview with Cultaholic, Chelsea Green was asked about the possibility of stepping back. Has that video, that's going out tonight, right? The full video.
So, yeah.
Okay, right. You might have seen snippets of it on Twitter over the last few weeks. And in an interview with Cultaholic, Chelsea Green was asked about the possibility of stepping back into the ring with Penta. This goes back to Lucha Underground.
yeah, I mean, their back and forth there was fairly legendary at the time, wasn't it?
It's just such a mad mashup of characters, and it's fascinating not only to see them at the time, but also where they've come since and everything like that. I think that's what Tom was getting at, asking Chelsea about this, and she said, well, look, never say never, as Justin Bieber once said.
Those are mortal words.
Brilliant. In terms of getting back in the ring with Penta, never say never. However, that was one of the craziest matches I've ever had in my entire life. She added that she owes everything to Penta for the match that they had, as he held my hand and wrestled me through that 15-minute match. It's really interesting to see it kind of popping up still and making a resurgence. Now that Penta's with WWE, I can't wait to beat him up. Excellent.
Just sign it off. Do it.
Yeah,
I want to
do
see
it.
Penta go on an absolute tear. I want to see Chelsea continue to have an absolute tear.
I've got a little fantasy booking in my mind for Penta, which I'm definitely not the first person to have thought of, because it seems quite obvious at the minute.
Right.
Seems like they're leading towards a tag match between himself and Ray and the New Day.
Yeah.
Because the New Day are annoyed at Ray for kicking them out of the locker room because they were nasty to Big E. But I want Penta to be a heel.
So Penta's going to turn on him, and he's going to do the new intro, like the
I love it. I think, well, I don't know if he'll join the New Day, but that would be fantastic. But I'd like the idea, if you're going to want to get Penta over as a heel, what better way than by having him break Rey Mysterio's arm or something?
Well, this is it. I mean, it was kind of explicitly said during his entrance in his debut, like some would say, Ray's the best of all time. This man is a close second.
Oh, God, yeah, Cole said it instantly.
And it's like, okay, well, it immediately feels like he's got to go for Ray. He's got to target Ray at some point.
I would think
but
so.
I want him to go too far, and I want that to be the thing that swings Dominic back into the face side of the factory.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
If he goes far too far for even Dominic,
Yeah.
then I think it could be something nice.
There was a really good line from Kofi Kingston during one of the ad breaks on Netflix where they show these like kind of quite slightly less formal interviews to fill the time. And Kofi was like,
They are weird when it's just standing around.
Look, this one was actually backstage, but it still had that looser feel. And Kofi said, look, Ray's not a great guy. He's a deadbeat dad. Whereas I, the greatest son any parent could ask for, still can't get my own mother to return my calls. That's unbelievable. I love what the New Day are doing in the minute as well. It's very good.
It's unreal.
Look forward to that full interview with Chelsea Green, which does drop later on today on the channel. And thank you very much for watching. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I've been Jack. This has been Sam. And we'll see you very soon.
Bye.